Okay, today guys I'm going to show you how to do a full colour change on an iPhone 4S. If you did want to purchase any of the parts or tools in this video, or whether you want to book your device in to get it repaired by us, just click the link in the description below. Okay, so to start with, if we get a pentalobe screwdriver and remove the two base screws from the iPhone. Once they're out, if you flip it over and push it from the base of the iPhone and lift off with your fingernail from the bottom. Once that's off, you can switch to your Phillips head screwdriver and remove the two screws holding the battery in place. Once they're out, you can flick the battery connector off with either a fingernail or a case opener tool from the kit. Once you've done this, if you take the aerial out, the aerial cover, and just leave it with the screw that you took it out from. Once that's out, you get a pry tool, start from the right hand side and just lift the battery out, like so. Then you can remove the screws covering the charge port ribbon. And as we did with the battery connector, just flick the cover off and bend it back. We can then remove the screen cover that is keeping the ribbons on the phone. You start from going on the top first, drag it towards the base of the phone and lift it away. Once that's out, you can remove the Wi-Fi cover. It's probably easier if you use a pair of tweezers just to lift it out. Once that's done, you can remove the two flathead circuit board screws. Just make a note that it is the longer screw that goes on the top of the phone and the smaller one on the bottom. Once they're out, if you use a fingernail or a case opening tool, just to flip the aerial connector off the circuit board and ravel it around the clip. Then if you switch back to your Phillips head and unscrew the last two things holding the loudspeaker in place. There are then a further two circuit board screws that need removing. Once they're out, you can begin to remove the ribbons, starting with the Wi-Fi ribbon at the top. Then the two screen connectors. Moving on to the camera. And the last three towards the base of the circuit board. Now that you've done them, you can take the gold clip and its attaching screw off the board, making sure that you keep them both together so you know which one it was. At this point you can get your SIM opening tool, push it firmly into the side of the phone and remove the SIM card. Once that's done, you put your thumb at the bottom and gently lift away the circuit board. Now we've got 6 screws inside of the chassis. Now you don't have to take these all the way out. If you just give them 2 counterclockwise turns and leave them in, that's enough just to get the screen out. There is a vibrator there in the way of the last screw, so if you take the spade tool, put it off and make sure you just leave it upside down in your tray. Once you've done this, there are 4 corner screws which do need completely removing. After you've disconnected all them, you can stick a tool on the bottom and just gently lift away the screen from the chassis. Right, we're now ready to put the new colour on. Again, all parts can be bought in the link in the description below. So removing the back cover, and you will need to remove the mesh at the old screen, and you can either place it in the phone or on the screen, whichever you prefer. Once we've got to this stage, just keep being very careful to only bend the ribbon between the 2 dotted lines that are on the screen. Feed them both through the top. Once they're through the side, if you grab hold of both of them to make sure you don't bend them, and just get the 2 locators into their positions. Like so. You then need to make sure that the side clips line up behind each of the washers on the screws. Like so. Once the screen's flush, give a quick check to see if the home button clicks OK, and then apply firm pressure down on the chassis, and start by doing back up the 6 side screws. And then replace the 4 corner screws in the LCD. Now that the screen is secured again, you can take the vibrator and line it up with the hole and the 2 white lines on the chassis plate. Once you're happy it's in place, you can take the circuit board, starting from the top, feed it through all the ribbons and line it up. Once you're happy it's down, it's always best just to put the middle screw back in to hold it in place. And then you can switch back to your flathead, putting the longest one in the top first. And then to the base screw at the bottom. Once that's in position, you can put the loudspeaker back in, making sure that the pins on the top of the loudspeaker go underneath the chassis rail at the bottom. Once you've got it in place, don't release the pressure, and just make sure you can get your first posi drive back in. Now with the one on the left hand side, there's a small triangular plastic cover that goes down first, followed by the screen. Once that's in, if you want to bend the aerial connector into the clip and push down until you hear it snap onto there, and then replace the rest of the circuit board screws. It's always best to use tweezers when putting the gold connector back in the top because it's quite fiddly. As soon as you've got that one back in, you're okay to put the camera back down, as long as the top goes in first and the bottom just connects to the board, like so. Followed by the rest of the ribbons. Like so. You can then place the cover back over the top of the charge port. Once that's down, you can put the screen ribbon cover back on. Followed by the Wi-Fi cover. Once they're all back down, you can put the battery back in, starting top first, just making sure that the ribbon is below the circuit board. Then if you take your aerial and locate it first. Once you're happy it's in position, you can just bend the battery cover back down and snap it into place, followed by the last two screws. Taking the new colour back, starting from top first, line it up like so, and slide down towards the bottom of the phone. You can then replace the two bottom ventilator screws. And finally, just pop the SIM card back in the side. If you did want a professional to get it booked in, or if you want to buy any of the parts or tools, it's all in the link in the description below. There you have it, a full colour change on an iPhone 4S.